Rich Rod is rebuilding another program, this time in Arizona with the Wildcats coming off a division championship and trip to the Pac-12 championship game. We bring in Ashley Nevel of MCTV in Phoenix to talk up the Wildcats. Ashley, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So this is good stuff. So let's start with your first couple days perception of what's happening out in camp. I know you got some connections out there. The Wildcats, a couple practices under their belt at this point. What do we know at this point?
What do we know is the offense is pretty strong this year. They actually have a lot of depth, a lot of returning players from last season, quarterback Anu Solomon, couple receivers, Samaje Grant, Kayleb Jones, Nick Wilson at the running back position. So I know that they're pretty solid on offense. I know they've been very strong so far in camp. The defense has looked a little bit slower than what people would hope. But, they do have some of the returning guys from last season as well. But there are some question marks there in the defense. However, I think that this season is looking bright for the Wildcats.
Yeah, so Solomon is a freshman, 28 touchdowns, 9 picks, fairly average skills. And that's not a cut on him. He's done extremely well with having kind of average speed, average arm. And as a freshman, takes a team in arguably the toughest conference in college football to the Pac-12 championship game. He's lost both of his tackles, I understand. He's got an incoming tackle from Cal, Freddie Tagaloa. You got Nick Wilson. You mentioned him. I think a lot of people across the country need to find out about Nick Wilson coming off a stellar freshman campaign. And again, Kayleb Jones, 73 catches last year. Samaje Grant, 45, 6 touchdowns. I think you're all set on offense. I don't see any issues scoring points this season. Did have a few issues scoring against the better defenses, but pretty much tore up everyone else. Scooby Wright, this guy, he's got like a cult following. I think part of it's the name, part of it's the demeanor, the attitude. He's just fun to watch.
Definitely. The Pat Tillman Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year award winner. He definitely surprised a lot of people last season. I don't think anyone expected him to put on the performance that he did, considering he is kind of, a quiet guy off the field. From when I've had the experience and chance to talk to him. But on the field, he's a monster. He is blocking the running games. He is just a complete force in the middle there. So, that's a guy that is really going to help this Wildcats defense give their opponents a lot of trouble this season. And we saw last year that the Pac-12, that they struggled against that. The 3-3-5 defense is something that the Pac-12 is really struggling against.
Yeah, and here's a guy who was just a 3-star recruit, and it's just sheer effort and tenacity out of him. These stats are off the charts. I don't know if he can duplicate this. 163 tackles, 29 tackles for loss, and 14 sacks. That's crazy. Most productive.
Yeah, well, the pass rush was the greatest area. The pass rush was the greatest area of improvement a season ago. So the 38 sacks, most registered in a season since 2000. So that was definitely a big area of improvement for them.
Yeah, so we had talked a little bit before we came on in regards to the defense. There's some concerns there, despite some outstanding players. Reggie Gilbert comes back for a 5th year, granted by the NCAA. He leads the front, but depth issues for this defense possibly. So everybody's got to stay healthy.
Exactly. So the question mark is in the secondary. They have to replace 4 of their key starters. Their senior, Will Parks, we saw was just incredible last season. That dude is a brick wall. You do not want him coming at you full speed. So he's going to take over the playmaking role at one of the safety positions. But, there's still the question marks there for who's going to take over that other spot. There's he was 4th on the squad last year with the 81 tackles, 6.5 for a loss to go with 2 interceptions. But joined by him is Jamar Allah, who also has some experience in that position as well. So I think they do, have a good starting bunch, but in terms of the depth, in terms of people who can maybe come off the bench when those guys, might need a little bit of a breather, that's kind of the question that lies ahead.
So again, Rich Rod has his issues at Michigan, but before that goes to West Virginia, a team that had pockets of success, and then he just competes for national championships and goes to major bowl games. And now he's doing the same thing at Arizona in regards to getting to a Fiesta Bowl, getting to a Pac-12 championship game much sooner than anybody anticipated. So this is one of the reasons I have people like you, Ashley, on, because you've got more so than the pulse of the team and the personnel, the pulse of the fan base and the expectations. So Arizona finishes ranked for the first time since 1998 last season. They play in arguably the toughest division in college football. I know that typically goes to the SEC West, but I'm going to make a statement for the Pac-12 South as being just brutal. USC, UCLA, Arizona State, Utah. So what are the expectations that the Wildcats can possibly do this year?
Well, I think the expectations are extremely high. I definitely think, their first, 8 games in the season, they can win and they should win. UCLA, freshman quarterback, Stanford, they can't stop the offense. Washington State, Oregon, Colorado. I mean, those teams aren't looking as strong as, previous years. So I think that Wildcat Nation is definitely expecting a strong season. I think, in terms of offense, they're just spot on, I think, this season. Lots of depth, a lot of guys who could definitely help. So, yeah, the expectations are high. I think that they could definitely get a chance to win. As I was mentioning before with you, the Territorial Cup, which has always been something huge. The fact that they were able to beat Arizona State last year was huge. So that's always a big goal for them. But then also, getting to the Rose Bowl is the biggest goal of them all. So hopefully they can get there this year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I believe they were the media's 4th place pick, but Rich Rod noted at Pac-12 Media Days that we were picked 4th last year. Look where we finished, 1st. But it's a brutal division. 5 of the 6 teams are top 25 caliber teams, so it should be extremely interesting. So Ashley Nevel joining us from MCTV out at Phoenix, Arizona, catching up on the Wildcats. Ashley, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.